What's going on, boys? Mick here with another YouTube video, and this is going to be another installment of our Flop or Not series. Those of you who don't know, Flop or Not is where I go through a gameplay's reveal, their trailers, any information we can get on the development process, and kind of make a prediction whether I think that game's going to fail or succeed. Videos like this we've done in the past, we have had limited gameplay and limited information, but for this video we are going to be discussing Fable and its recent reveal. Fable then initially having a reveal in 2023 that we all saw, and now recently we have been given a more fleshed out development cycle reveal and also gameplay. Without yapping too much then, guys, I want to give a big thank you to everyone who's supported my videos in the past, who've been leaving likes, who's been leaving comments. I appreciate every little bit of support. I also hope everybody has an amazing week and has a great start tomorrow. Everybody staying healthy, everybody doing well, so I wish everyone the best this week. Getting into it then, let's find out if Fable will flop or not. Okay then, before we get into the gameplay reveal, we're going to be talking about Fable. It's going to be developed by lead studio Playground Games. Playground Games are going to be based in Leamington Spa, England. These guys are best known for the Forza Horizon open world racing series. Forza Horizon open world games have always been brilliant. They always shine with their graphics, but again, this is quite a stretch when it comes to RPGs and the amount of processes that are involved. Co-developer that joined in 2021 to support gameplay systems like combat is Eidos Montreal. The publisher, of course, as we know, will be Xbox Game Studios, so we will find this title on the Xbox Game Pass at release. Development timeline then, so we're going to be looking at a start of development at 2018. This is a long time ago, but this is due to Lionhead's closure in 2016, so there was a bit of a gap there for somebody to pick it up. First game trailer that we seen was at the Xbox Showcase in 2023, and then as of recently, as you can see in the background, we've had another. This is going to be done on the Forza Tech engine, so this isn't going to be any Unreal Engine 5 worries. This is a completely different engine, but it will be interesting to see how this engine fares in an RPG setting. Window for this release then, we're going to be looking at an autumn 2026 release, so not too far down the line to get your hands on with this game. Other than that, that's all we can get in terms of the headings for these points, so we're just going to start narrating and looking at this gameplay and kind of picking it apart where we see fit.
Recurring question: what does it mean to you to be a hero? Our game is about choices and their consequences. It's packed with action, drama, British humour, moral dilemmas, and quite a few chickens. All of this combines in a fairy tale which could only be Fable.
Now, without overanalyzing the team's intro there, it is important for these points to be mentioned. He does state that this is about being a hero. He does talk about chickens, your choices matter, you know, all this old stuff that we've had from Fable before. Now, one of the worries of a new development team picking up this title is, will it stay true to its core? I have seen people say online that they believe it already looks like it doesn't. For me, as somebody who's played Fable in the past, all three titles, I can definitely say this looks and sounds like a Fable game already. For me personally, I do feel like they're staying true to the content. The very first Fable being, if not the first, one of the first games I ever played. I mean, I might have been 5 years old or 6 years old. I don't know if that's appropriate for that age, but you know, I turned out alright. Bottom line is, I have been vocal about rehashing and reusing old titles and bringing sequels up too much, but at the end of the day, Fable has been long awaited. This is something the community has been asking for and waiting for a long time, so I do think this is an appropriate time to release this game. If not, it should have been earlier. Now, when it comes to Fable, staying true to its content and its core is going to be really important, so I hope the guys have done a lot of research and really do stay to that core gameplay loop of, you know, decisions matter, becoming a hero, and all around just an RPG experience. A lot of RPGs we have nowadays don't really have those consequences and choices that really matter. I mean, sometimes they're in there, but it seems like they're kind of always pushing you towards one way or the other. So it's good to see that these choices and consequences are going to be used appropriately.
Sleepy hamlets, oversized vegetable patches, and stunning vistas. And because our Albion is truly open world, for the first time, you'll be able to explore this rich and detailed world seamlessly, with the freedom to go where you want from early in the game.
We can't wait to welcome you back to Albion's iconic capital city, Bowerstone. Home to Fairfax Castle, the Old Clock Tower, and the legendary Heroes Guild.
It's a huge city, full of contrasts. Rich and poor, nobles and commoners, royalty and criminals. You'll spend plenty of time here during the game as you discover the secrets of the Heroes Guild and its reclusive guildmaster, Humphrey the Golden.
As you can see straight away, that Forza tech engine being utilised to what it is best at, and that is graphical scenery and graphics in general. I mean, the vegetation, the world design, you know, the different elements of the fantasy being used there, it just looks amazing. For me personally, I can definitely see the draw distance being utilised well here. I can see a lot of the buildings and the manual artwork being really detailed, and a lot of people taking care of that. From what we see already, it does look gorgeous, it does look beautiful, and that's what we expect from these kind of developers utilising this engine. This is what they're good at, this is their bread and butter, and I am really interested and curious to see what the rest of the world looks like throughout this game and how the different open world elements work together in order to move between these different biomes and settings. It is going to be really interesting to explore every nook and cranny of this game and see how gorgeous it really is, because we are used to seeing Unreal Engine 5, and after a while that kind of UE5 sandy bleached look gets really boring for me personally. So seeing a new engine being utilised in an RPG title like this, it's really exciting for me.
The abilities you learn and through the weapons you use.
Just like the classic trilogy, heroes in our game fight with a combination of strength, skill, and will. Seamlessly blending melee and ranged weapons with magical abilities gives us style-weaving combat, allowing you to show off your personal playstyle against single opponents and large groups of enemies alike. Melee is at the heart of our close quarters combat. You'll use light and heavy combos, often knocking enemies off balance and executing stylish finishers. Swap to your ranged weapon to bypass enemy guard and deal with troublesome flying enemies. And of course, you'll be able to unleash your powerful spells to both manipulate and devastate your opponents.
We're excited to be bringing back some fan-favorite adversaries for you to fight. Hobbs are back, as are Balverines, Hollowfolk, and Trolls.
So as you can see, as shown, that is our first look at the combat system in Fable. Now, I've seen a lot of people compare this to different kinds of games. Obviously, we have parries and blocks and spells and stuff. The comparisons I've seen online have been a bit iffy, and there's a lot of different stuff. For me personally, without hating too much, it looks a bit like Assassin's Creed, or a modern Assassin's Creed title. What I'm really getting at is that kind of ability hotbar on the right and what looks like ability points above the health bar. That's kind of what reminds me of Assassin's Creed generally. And by no means is that combat system a bad thing. At the end of the day, this is marketing, so they are going to pick the best scenes, the best fights, and show us the top of the top, but so far it looks amazing. I do like the seamless combat between ranged and melee. This is going to allow you for nice smoother combat experiences, and a lot of RPGs, they get this wrong. I'm looking at Bethesda here, you know, you're switching out stuff mid-fight and everything's slow and clunky. You know, when it comes to an RPG, combat does mean a lot. I know a lot of people think it's the different elements of talking to NPCs and making decisions, but the combat does make the game. In terms of the combat itself, there is a different variety of weapons that are shown. We've seen hammers, swords, crossbows that seem to have an extremely high fire rate. So we know there is going to be a high variation of weapons that we can use and also builds that we can use. The spells and the abilities there are on a hotbar, similar to what I said about Assassin's Creed there in the bottom right. It does look like we have a mini map for combat, and of course enemies have visible health bars. Like I said before though, it does look smooth and seamless, and it does seem to kind of build on what they had in previous Fable games. Now with the combat itself, you do have different weapons and abilities, which is great, but it's all about that like 1-2 kind of combat you have with each enemy. Is there going to be animations for parrying, animations for kind of clinching? Is it going to be an in-depth combat system that kind of makes every fight seem different? We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, with the delays and the development time that it has taken to make this title, I would believe that they do have in-depth animations definitely for this one. I think it's important to note, while also looking at the stunning background of this scene. Now, I do understand this is probably upscaled for the trailer, but you can just see in this combat sequence here that it looks absolutely stunning in the background. What I also wanted to note on though is the combat system does seem simple. Now what I mean by that is it's easy to learn, easy to perform, and every combat sequence does seem fun. There is that balance that you need to find between difficulty and simplicity when it comes to RPGs and just games in general. I mean, players do prefer difficult games. We've seen that from awards in the past. But for an RPG title like Fable, we're going to be in combat situations quite a bit, in different areas, going for different things. It does meet that middle ground where it's nice and easy to learn and every combat situation can be handled, provided that you're a high enough level and you have all the items, etc.
Who we call the living population. There are more than 1,000 of them, and every single one is unique. Each of them has a name, a role, a daily routine, and their own personality. You could follow any one of them for a day and just watch them live their life.
They'll get up, go to work, spend some leisure time on hobbies, then go home to bed.
But what's even cooler is that you can talk to every single one of them in fully voiced conversations and interact with them in loads of different ways. Maybe the job they go to is working for you because you hired them to work in one of your businesses.
Hey you, working hard? How can I help you, boss?
Maybe the bed they sleep in is in a house you own because you're the landlord.
Or maybe their bed is on the street because you evicted them.
All right.
Oh, it's you. You're awful.
And all of the stuff you do affects what they think of you.
You're a legend.
Because everything you do builds your reputation.
Very impressive. Now that's an hero right there.
You can see then the development team are talking about 1,000 living NPCs in this title. These NPCs then will all have their own daily routines and you're able to speak to them and they will all be voiced and have their own personalities and such. Now, while your first reaction, like mine, was that this might be AI because of the sheer scale of it, it is said that Fable will be manually designing each and every one of the NPCs and no AI will be involved in creating these NPCs and their lives, etc. So that is really good to see, especially in the modern setting of gaming today. I mean, with an RPG title like Fable, having 1,000 talkable NPCs that all have their personalities and reactions to you, that just helps you live in the world. That's one of the most important things when it comes to an RPG title, is feeling like the world is lived in, feeling like you're actually immersed in this area, everybody's real and alive and you are there. So this is really going to help for that fact in immersing the player in these situations. When it comes to their daily routines then and the way they move around, this screams something to me like Kingdom Come Deliverance. So if anybody remembers Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first and second one, all the NPCs had their own daily routines. I mean, the guards would go to the tavern after work, they would go to bed, stuff like that. Things like that in an RPG title that really do help the world feel lived in, like I said before, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Fable does this. They do mention that you can date any villager, you can romance any villager, you can evict them from their house, you can hire them. All this stuff really does feel amazing for that RPG experience. You know, we did touch on combat before, but what really makes an RPG is that kind of living in the world element. You know, these different things that you can do: buy houses, make an income, become a landlord, do some trading. You know, it's not always about getting into fights every 5 seconds, and the more stuff that you are able to do outside of that combat sequence is better for the RPG experience. These are all things that Fable have done in the past and have done them well, and it looks like they are just focused on refining all those experiences. You know, a lot of RPG titles like to add new content on top of previous games and then just keep adding and adding stuff, which can be good at times, but when it comes to a title like Fable, it is more important to refine. It's more important to make old stuff better and keep building on top of that, so the experience that everybody loved and enjoyed in the first one is just amplified and amplified. Obviously, we have seen some failures in that when it comes to Fable, but this is a new development team and this is fresh set of eyes, fresh developers, and we are going to see something new. Hopefully still holding true to that Fable experience.
Everything you do builds your reputation.
Very impressive. Now that's an hero right there.
Morality has always been super important to Fable. That tension between good and evil underpinned all of the original games. And morality is central to our game too, but we have a slightly different take on it.
For us, morality isn't black and white. There are lots of grey areas. And importantly, morality is subjective. No two people see things exactly the same way. And that's how it works in our game too.
Everything you do earns you a reputation. And every person in Albion will have a different reaction to you as a result.
Hello there.
Yeah, we get it. You're rich.
They'll remember things you did directly to them, they'll love you or hate you for the choices you make, and they will always tell you why. Although, usually from a safe distance.
Our game will never judge you, but the people of Albion will, loudly.
Imbecile.
Your reputation is created by the choices you make, and you are going to make a lot of them. Big choices, little choices, moral choices, and some choices that will actually change the landscape of Albion for the rest of your game. We call this idea Your Choices Change the World.
Okay, before we have a look at that choices change the world section, we are going to talk quickly about the whole morality aspect of Fable. Now, morality has been a big part of Fable since the very beginning. How you treat others will reflect on your character and how they think about you. We've seen it in every Fable title, and it is a big core part of the game. Obviously, they're discussing in the background that what you do to people and how you look and how you act will negatively or positively affect their opinion of you, and this will affect your interactions with them in general. This is a huge RPG element that I love. I am really interested to see how this works and how this plays out, especially when you're going through a playthrough. Now, obviously, there are going to be some bad points about this game when it comes to the flop or not review that I will get into at the end, because I do think in general this reveal trailer was brilliant, and it is good to show this in a positive light, because that, you know, at the end of the day is what it was. But to finish off then, the morality thing is a big part of any RPG element. Some games do it lightly, but Fable always do it in quite a strong fashion, and they do focus on it quite a bit. So we'll be interested to see what goes right and what goes wrong with different things you do in the world, and learning how to, you know, influence and motivate people to like you or hate you. I really hope the freedom element there is really included in this title. I mean, if somebody wants to kill the entire village and become an absolute demon, I hope the ability to do so is there. I really hope they don't censor any content. That's what I worry a lot about modern games when it comes to RPGs and the freedom. They do like to censor and prevent you from doing anything too crazy or evil, which isn't really fair on the player. It is a role-playing game. Games that have done this in the past are like Starfield, with like protecting objective-based characters, and Avowed, where you can't really attack anyone in the villages. I just hope Fable does keep to that Fable core gameplay of just, if you want to be an absolute evil maniac, you're allowed to do so.
Let's give you an example.
Early in the game, you'll meet a character named Dave, an egotistical gardener in a rural village who discovers a magical growth formula. He accidentally turns himself into a giant and becomes a big problem. It'll be your job to deal with him, and ultimately will be your choice whether to kill him or to spare him. If you kill him, his giant corpse will lie on the farmland just outside of town for the rest of the game.
And that is going to affect house prices. It will also affect what a lot of the villagers think about you.
Especially Dave's sister. In Fable, the choices you make will define you. What does being a hero mean to you?
So as you can see, the final choices and consequences section of the game, they mentioned that if you kill this giant, he will remain there for the rest of the game. Now, as your choices are definitely going to affect the world as shown in the video, it is important to remember that these are scripted story-based events. So if you do kill this giant, he will remain there for the rest of the game, but this is a pre-scripted event. Now, while this is great for your choices and stuff you do in the game having an effect on the map, it is important to remember that in terms of RPGs, we haven't taken that next step yet. And what I really mean about that is if you burn an entire village down, then that village is burnt down for the rest of the game. I don't think we're going to see anything as next level as that, but there are definitely going to be scripted choices throughout the game that will affect your map, and you know, that is always interesting to see. Something I've seen like this before would maybe be in like Dying Light and stuff like that, where, you know, if you make a decision, the map actually alters, and we're definitely going to see that in Fable, but it isn't going to be as free and sandbox like as we imagine. Now that's going to do it for the trailer breakdown itself then, and in terms of the flop or not scale, I'm going to put Fable at a 4. Now, while that might seem a little high towards the flop side, I do have a few points that I want to mention about this. The first point I want to get into then is the Forza Tech engine. Now, while this engine is definitely good at utilizing graphics and making beautiful scenes as we've seen in the Forza Horizon titles, I do think when it comes to an RPG game like Fable and the sheer scale and the minimal loading screens, and with all the shaders and graphics and textures involved on top of the RPG processes, I do think that this engine is definitely going to be pushed to its limits. Now, while I don't have a lot of experience in reviewing or playing on this engine, it does seem like it will be pushed to its limits in this game. Now, Fable has seen a lot of delays in the past, and we have even seen a delay more recently, as this game was supposed to have either already been released or released in May, I believe. A lot of these delays, in my personal opinion, is going to be down to optimization and really getting everything down to perform well, but I may be wrong in that sense. I mean, there is 1,000 villagers that need scripted and need voiced, So there is a lot of work surrounding this game and delays are inevitable. But when it comes down to the utilizing this engine and the processes involved and the different things, I mean, the villagers talking, their opinions of you, the constant processes that are going to be involved, I do think we might be here at an optimization risk for this game. I mean, the gameplay shown in the background was very slow moving, very, you know, methodical, but you do see that in a lot of these gameplay trailers as they're trying to show off the map. But I did see some frame issues. Now it is in development, they are probably using an Xbox, so while this is being made by Xbox Studios directly for the Xbox, we probably will see good performance in the end when development finishes. However, like I said before, I do think we are at a minimal risk here for optimization. Another issue that I might have with this game and setting it maybe towards the flop scale, while also remaining to the fact that it is probably going to succeed. I think it will, and I'm looking forward to, you know, enjoying the title. I do think writers in gaming in general recently have been very, very poor, and now this is a new studio picking up somebody else's work. That in the past has never really worked out well when it comes to writing and story, and I do think Fable's going to be at risk of a bland or maybe a boring story. Now, while I may be wrong, we don't have a lot of information on the main story, just as a hero that's kind of been wronged by this like village attack and has to move on and find things or whatever, but we've seen that before. Regardless of all that though, I do think the story is at risk here just because of my experiences with gaming and writing in general, especially in recent years. One thing that I will note that I didn't really get a good grasp on through this reveal is sound design. I think a game like this really does need to go all out with their sound design, but we didn't really get to see any of that, so it is curious to see what it will be like when it releases. Sound design is very important, especially for RPGs. When you're moving into different settings like caves or buildings, you know, the sound has to manipulate and move around you, so you really do feel like you're there the whole time. Now, while Forza does have an amazing sound design, we can all agree this is again going to be a big step for Playground Studios, and I hope they really do deliver when it comes to the sound in this game. My final point again for this flop or not scale / review is this is a massive jump for this studio. Now, while they have had plenty of time and plenty of talented developers working on this game, it is still a massive jump for these guys regardless. This is going to be a lot of work for them, and it is going to debut their skills in a way in terms of RPGs and open world games. Now, while this might be an issue for some, and again it is a big jump, at the end of the day we've seen a lot of these developers that have done stuff in the past with open world titles fail and fail again. But when it comes to like newer studios that are creating these open world RPG games that we've seen in the past, they always seem to deliver to a high end. So it does seem to be that the fact is that new seems to be better. You know, people coming in fresh with fresh ideas, fresh developers, fresh teams, it seems to just deliver to a higher standard. So that's going to be it for the video. I'm going to put this at a 4 on the flop or not scale. Again, there is some small risks that I see revolving around this game, but overall I think this is going to be a huge success. I think Fable is going to absolutely deliver on a really handmade, high-end title when it comes to RPGs, and I'm really looking forward to getting hands-on in the autumn. If you have made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching small-time creators like myself, and if you want to leave a like or a subscription on the way out, I would appreciate every single one. If you have any comments or thoughts about the game or maybe the reveal trailer itself, leave them below and we'll discuss them. I'll always get back to you. So other than that guys, I'm going to bounce. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.